So in our voice lessons, we've been talking about the voice that comes through in writing. When authors write, the way they write shows their personality. And we've been talking about how when you write, you have your own voice. And when you use the word choice you use and the style that you write in can really express who you are and your personality. So that when I get your papers in, even if you don't put your names on it, I can read the papers and know, oh, this is Ellie's story, or this is Jason's, or this is Christian's, because I've read your writing and I know your personality, and it comes through when you put words on the paper. And so one of the elements of voice that we've been talking about is diction. What is diction, again, just to review?
Word choice.
Good. And why do we need to pay attention to word choice? Words have specific meanings. And so the different meanings of different words convey different messages to people, especially in writing. And so you want your readers to get the same picture in their minds when they read your writing that you had in your mind when you were writing, so that you're clear. And word choice is a big way in which we do that. So on your papers and on the board, we have a quote from a book that some of you have read called Holes. Who's read Holes? Okay. So you know a few of the characters. In this sentence, or these couple of sentences, we have Kate, Trout, and a red-headed woman. Those are the three characters there. And so we're going to read the quote, and we're going to think about how the words create pictures in our mind. Specific words that the author has chosen create this picture in our mind of this scene that's going on in this book. So let's read it together. A red-headed woman was there with Trout. Kate could see her rummaging through the cabin, dumping drawers and knocking things from the shelves of cabinets. So as you read this, I want you to think about what picture do you get in your mind? What's going on in this situation and in this passage, and how do you know that? So let's look at this quote, and let's think about the words that are in bold and the words that are underlined, okay? Because those are the words we're going to be looking at. What does rummaging mean? Okay, what type of searching?
Fast.
One at a time so we can hear it. What did you say, Omar? Oh, desperate. Okay. Dylan, what did you say?
Fast.
Okay. Chris, you said something too? No? Okay. So it's a searching. When you think of rummaging, do you think that the person who might be rummaging knows where the object is they're looking for?
No.
Okay. So it's kind of a frantic, desperate, fast, searching for something where you don't know where it is. Okay, you're digging through something. Okay? And then what about dumping? When you're dumping something, what are you doing? What'd you say, Christian?
Throwing stuff.
Okay. What else is dumping?
Emptying.
Okay, what type of emptying is it?
Emptying things out fast.
Emptying things out fast, okay? Just kind of shoving it over. I'm dumping things off, okay? And then what about knocking things? If you're knocking something. Not typically the knocking, but what's the other meaning of knocking? Ellie?
Things out of the floor, out of the shelf.
Okay. So getting things out of the way, just kind of disregarding. Okay. So those are the three words I want you to think about. Okay. So you've kind of explained them a little bit better now. So when you close your eyes and I read this again, I want you to think about what those three things are. Okay. And this woman is doing this. So try to get that picture in your head. Okay. So a red-headed woman was there with Trout. Kate could see her rummaging through the cabin, dumping drawers, and knocking things from the shelves of cabinets. Did you get that picture in your mind when we read that? Does somebody want to read it for me again, maybe with a little different expression? Anyone want to volunteer to do that? Serena, could you read that for me?
A red-haired woman was there with Trout. Kate could see her rummaging through the cabin, dumping jars and knocking things from the shelves of cabinets.
Okay. So what picture do you get in your mind when you've read that? When you close your eyes, what picture did you get in your mind? Ellie?
Angry, desperate, trying to look for something, and then she cannot find it.
Okay.
She's stealing something.
Ooh, that's an interesting thing. Maybe she's stealing. What else? Anybody from this group in the middle? What did you guys see when you closed your eyes? Dylan, what did you see?
I don't know.
You don't know? Pretty much the same thing Omar said?
Yeah.
Okay. What about from this group? Miguel, what did you see?
I saw a red-headed woman trashing a room with a destructive force.
Ooh, all right. So she's being destructive in some way. She's not just going in and looking for things. So I want you to think about, now that you've kind of got that image in your head, think about how the meaning of what's going on, even though maybe some of you who haven't read it don't know what's happening here, or why the redheaded woman is rummaging and knocking and dumping. But let's think about how the meaning of this sentence would change if it was read this way. Kate could see her searching through the cabin, emptying drawers, and taking things off of the shelves of cabinets. Okay? So let's close our eyes again and think about this scene, this setting. Kate could see her searching through the cabin, emptying drawers, and taking things off of the shelves of cabinets. What's different about that second passage when we change those words? Instead of rummaging, we have searching. Instead of dumping, we have emptying. And instead of taking things off of shelves, instead of knocking things off of shelves, we have taking things off of shelves. So what's the difference in that word choice? Omar.
It's like calm, looking for things slowly,
Mm-hmm.
She ain't doing it fast.
She's taking her time.
Okay.
More patient.
Okay. So if she's taking her time, she's patient, not as destructive, you said, with care. Okay. What's the difference in the attitude, do you think, of the redheaded woman?
She's not mad. She's calm. Like, she's relaxed. It's her stuff. She's taking it out and put it back in place.
Okay, that's interesting that you said it's her stuff, because before somebody mentioned that it sounds like she maybe is stealing or she doesn't know where things are. And then in the second, you said it's maybe her stuff. It doesn't sound so much like she's maybe not supposed to be there for some reason. Okay, so do you see how those word choices, just those very subtle word choices, make a big difference in the message you're trying to convey to your readers? Obviously, in this passage, the author is trying to give us an image of a frantic woman rummaging through and Kate looking in and maybe thinking, well, what's she doing, or catching her doing something maybe she's not supposed to if she's stealing, or trying to find something that she's not supposed to see and destroying the place, as opposed to Kate could see her, maybe just she walked up to a friend's house looking in and seeing her friend kind of, going through her house. It's a very different setting, a very different portrayal of what's going on in the novel. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to try it in your groups. Okay, I want you to try it on your own, give you a few minutes to write, and then you guys are going to share with each other. Now, the setting that I'm going to set up for you is a little bit different. I want you to think about a little boy, making a mess in a restaurant. How many of you have ever been to a restaurant and had a little kid there just making a mess in some way? Okay, some of us probably did that as children and our brothers and sisters, okay?
And I work in a restaurant.
Oh, you work in a restaurant, so you have to clean it up sometimes. That's not fun either. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to, before you write, put your pencils down. And I want you to just close your eyes or keep your eyes open if you need to. Just take a minute to think about either a time when you've seen a little boy making a mess in a restaurant, or imagine that situation. And I want you, when you write down your couple of sentences describing that situation, I want you to make sure that you choose your words clearly, concretely, and exactly. And I want you to think more of the strong verbs, okay? Rummaging instead of searching, okay? And think about how that meaning is changed. So if you were writing, say, about a horse, the horse ran across the field. Well, did the horse run across the field, or did he gallop or trot? Okay, there's a big difference in how horses run. Maybe it's slower or faster. And if you choose those specific words, your reader will get a clearer image of what's going on with this little boy making that mess. But I want you to focus on verbs, and not necessarily the story of what's happening or why he's making a mess or the consequences, but the actual actions. Okay? And so I want you to think about it first, maybe for 30 seconds to a minute, and then when you feel like you've got that image in your head, pick up your pencils and write that down, and I'll kind of walk around and help you guys. Any questions? All right. Does everybody have a couple sentences written down? Okay, I know you guys could probably write forever, but let's just get a couple down, okay? So what I want you to do now is share them with your group. So take turns. I'd like you to read them out loud and try to think about reading with expression, okay? Like, I'm not going to say, a red-headed woman was there with a trout, okay? I want you to read with expression in your group. It's good practice for you, okay? And I want you to think about using those words and putting emphasis on those strong verbs so that it really, really, really comes across to your readers about this little boy making a mess, okay? So read in your groups, and then I want you to decide, out of your group, whose do you think is maybe the strongest, or who is most comfortable reading theirs aloud, okay? Or the one that just describes the mess the best. And I want you to pick that out and then choose somebody from your group to be a spokesperson and share that. And you read your own, or you can read somebody else's in your group. You can give credit, or you can leave it anonymous, however you guys decide to do that you're comfortable with, okay? So practice reading them to each other in your groups and read everybody's out loud, okay? And then and I'll kind of come around and listen, and then we'll share with the whole group, okay?
Let's read ours. Let's read our own first. Okay, that's the yeah, the waiter and
The
everyone
kid
else
was
at the restaurant
propelling
making it
ketchup
look like
all over the
garbage
floor.
Catapulting chocolate milk at the waiter. That's more than just tossing, right? Catapulting, and then the spaghetti was
A gigantic mess. As I gazed over at him, I observed him striking his father with a bowl of spaghetti. You wouldn't look at him as a fool.
And on the ceiling. Mustard was just dripping on the ground. There was a huge mess.
dripping on the ground. All right, so I heard some really good things while I was walking around to your groups. So have you guys all decided who you want to read which one? Yep. You got volunteers? Okay. All right, so we're going to share with the group. Just make sure you listen and think about, in your mind, get an idea of the difference in these different situations. So we've all seen little boys in restaurants making mess. But I want you, when you listen to each group, think about the different scene that gets created in your mind based on who's writing. And that's what voice is all about. We're going to describe 3 different little boys in 3 different restaurants making 3 different kinds of messes. Okay, so I want you to think about how each one is different based on how you guys have written. Okay? You going to volunteer first, Karen?
There was a little boy in the restaurant. I could see that the little boy was dumping all the food everywhere. He was splashing his drink on his parents. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. He attacked the waiter and pummeled him to the floor.
Okay. So he's not just kind of spilling his drink onto his parents or pouring it. He's splashing it. Okay? Think of a splash, just getting splashed in the face with soda from your little kid. Okay? And he's not just jumping on the waiter. He's pummeling him to the floor. Okay? What's pummeling? What does pummeling mean? You're beating him up. You're attacking him. Okay? This little kid just went crazy in the restaurant. So I want you to think about Karen's little kid that she experienced in the restaurant, and then think about the difference in the one that we're going to hear from the middle group here. Stephanie, are you reading?
Yes.
Okay.
The little boy was sitting there at the restaurant table. Then all of a sudden he pounced across the table and started hurling food and plates across the room. He attacked his parents, then started wailing at the top of his lungs. He kicked and scratched at the walls and tables. The pictures on the wall were falling to the floor, shattering into millions of pieces.
All right. So the little boy didn't just get up and jump. He pounced. So think about a cat when they pounce. What do they do before they pounce? It's kind of an attack, okay? But the cat sits and waits. And then waits for the exact moment to pounce on the mouse, okay? So that's what she's saying. She's pouncing. So the little boy's just waiting for the right moment to just, and go crazy and jump, okay? And then Stephanie's little boy didn't necessarily attack the waiter, but he's kicking and scratching at the walls, and things are falling off and shattering. And okay, so different little boy, different kind of mess, but still equally as powerful because you're using those strong verbs. Very good. All right, this group, you ready? Third little boy, third different kind of mess.
While coming to the restaurant, there was a little freckled monster hurling plates at waiters, launching handfuls of food, being more destructive than a bunch of Irishmen on St. Patrick's Day. The young lad was running and jumping on the tables, lighting the tablecloths on fire, splashing wine on the clean white floors, stabbing the people in the restaurant, breaking windows, and catapulting shreds of glass out the crowds, eyes and tossing pots of boiling water at his parents.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's some great things in there. Okay, what is he doing? He's throw the shards of glass Is he hurling shards of glass at people? Is that what it said?
It's a catapult.
Catapulting, that's what it was. So you think of a catapult, what does a catapult do? What is a catapult?
Launches things.
Okay, it's kind of
It destructs things.
Yeah, it destroys things, okay? So you think about it, it's like a big slingshot. You put the ball or the cannonball in the catapult and just launches it really far high into the air with a lot of force. Okay, so he's not just throwing food or tossing food or spilling food, he's catapulting it across the room. Okay, really good use of metaphor in that too. So do you guys see how, because you have your word choice and your word choice and your word choice, we got 3 very different passages, okay? And that's what this is all about, is your voice is coming through in your writing.